Hello and welcome to Anatomy of Us. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
What's up, my good friends? My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Thank you so much for joining the show. We bring real help for real couples. If this is your first time listening, we have over 500 topical shows, Q&A, we have interviews, we have all kinds of stuff, all geared, all engineered to bring you results in your marriage and to help you have a growth mindset. So let's do this.
We are very excited today to talk about a concept that we have begun using in coaching called the straight and narrow. And yes, that is a biblical reference. It didn't mean to start out that way, but it once I said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's in the Bible. Oh, This concept is not new. But the straight and narrow path is something that we started using with clients because we realized that clients didn't have a concept of what was and was not going to be helpful for their marriage. Like they just didn't know how to think about it, didn't know how to navigate it, didn't know how to come up with the things that would be good or bad or whatever. Right. And so the only idea that I could think of was like, it's like a narrow path. And let me tell you a quick story.
Tell everyone where you got the idea. Everyone knows.
That was so rude. Where'd I get it then? If you know, sassy
Indiana
pants.
Jones.
Indiana Jones is correct. He's
right.
But it actually partially came from when we went on our camping trip up to, where did we go? Ice caves. And there were land bridges.
Indian heaven. Oh, right.
Up in Washington, there were land bridges that I had never even knew that was a thing in Washington, but they're made from lava tubes that like most of the tube collapses, except for these flipping amazing land bridges. And so as I was thinking about this idea, and
it was like Rivendell.
It was a dream. It was a dream of dreams. But anyway, as I was up there, we were up there as a family, and I was looking at these narrow paths. And if you go too far to one side, you will fall off and land in a ravine and die.
I had so much anxiety of that.
Really?
Just because I've watched enough like fail videos of not like people falling off of stuff, but just like, you know, a mom walking and then tripping or a kid and like there was rocks everywhere. And I was like, oh,
one of our kids was running around 900 miles an hour and there's like, oh.
Yeah. It's like as a dad, you're like anxiety to the max, but continue.
Yeah. But anyway, that was sort of one of the ideas as I kept ruminating and trying to think through how to share this with clients and why it would be helpful, was really thinking of that really narrow bridge that you had to cross. And if you even get just too close to the edge, you could fall because the bridge itself could fall, like the dirt could slip. There's a million things about it that were dangerous. But how on earth does that apply to relationships? Why does it matter? And why is it so successful when couples figure it out?
Well, think about it.
I am. Keep on.
In nature, in engineering, in physics and math, which we are not good at. I just know the two words of physics and math. There or a lock and a key. There are certain things that you have to do to access this side of the door, to get to this code. Like, you know, mainly play Mario with the kids, right?
It's the best.
You have to go through certain lands and get so many coins and and all this.
Mario Wonder. If you haven't gotten it yet, get it.
To get to the other side. There are actual specific things. They're black and white, yes or no, do this or don't do this to get to the other side, right? So if you begin to really break that down and kind of simplify it, which I know you've recently, over the last 2 years, been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson. We've also listened to a ton of stuff, and it's becoming clear. It's like there is a certain way to, there's a couple ways to do, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, you know, that old saying, but there are certain things that you must do in order to get the result that you want or get the result that you don't want, right? Now, pair that with my obsession with 75 Hard, your obsession with strategy and routines and frameworks, and then we've stumbled upon. You know what? No, that's probably
we didn't stumble
upon it. We were searching for it,
like gold, like treasure hunters.
That's right.
Keep talking.
Well, the Bible talks about search for wisdom like silver.
I know it does.
That's been my prayer.
We recently got a metal detector at Goodwill.
It's the second one we've had actually, but anyway. And when in working with couples and you begin to identify patterns, there's a lot of wisdom that comes from raising dogs, right? Over these last 2 years, there are patterns and developmental stages. There are certain problems that we say as we have seen more and more clients, and we go, oh, this pattern looks similar to this. We know a couple ways to address this and and move forward on it, right? Now, in therapy, should I bring in the clinical lens, or did you want to say something else?
No, please don't bring in the clinical lens. I just refuse.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, say the therapy piece.
So I did my main thesis, my big 100-page paper thesis at grad school, mainly on a modality called solution-focused therapy, right? Solution-focused. And if I could sum up solution-focused in like literally one sentence, it's when you have had success before, that is replicable, right? I listened to a podcast today, which was excellent. Order of Man. I forgot his the interview dude. I can look it up.
Old so-and-so.
But it's success leaves clues. And also, guess what? Failure leaves clues. And I think about this, not to get too much on a tangent, and the Bible even talks about this, like drinking. You can tell, especially in the South, you could drive around, especially where I grew up, and look at certain houses, go down certain roads, certain neighborhoods, and go, oh, and this is so trippy. Oh, that's I mean, if it's a drug house, you clearly know. Yeah. But like, oh, drinking problem, right? The yard's messy. It's not cut. There's stuff, just junk, you know? It's like, oh, that's a sign. So failure leaves clues also, but success leaves clues. And so in solution-focused therapy, if something happened once, and I say this often, if we're capable of something, we are always capable of doing it again, good or bad. And that kind of humbles me, right? It's like I could do the worst thing over again. So could you. I could also do the best thing I've ever done over again. So could you, right? And so can you, listeners. So it's not too hard. Anything is possible. Everything is figure-outable, like Marie Forleo says. So solution-focused therapy, if me and you go on a good date night, right? That Friday night date night did not and was not successful because at 5:59 p.m. I shot you a text and said, hey, let's go to Crockett's up here, right? No, that date night was successful because maybe on Monday I was attuning to you. I was making sure that I was letting you know you were appreciated, you were seen, you were heard, you were loved, right? Throughout the week. I was doing what I needed to do mentally, spiritually, physically to be in a good headspace, right? Maybe I'm eating right. I'm drinking water, no alcohol, going to the gym. So I'm like good to go, right? And so a good date night is replicable if you go back and go, okay, let me look at the clues, the markers that got us to that point, right? I think it's James Clear, the Atomic Habits guy, talks about success is always like has a 3-day lag period, right? And then on the Ed Milet show, we're talking about like, oh, you feel good right now because of what you ate. Oh yeah, like 3 days ago because it got in your system and all this stuff, right? So success leaves clues, failure leaves clues, and then always know that these things are on like a 3-day lag, right? So we had a great date night, went to your favorite restaurant, you know, like was intimate and all this stuff because of the things starting on Monday and building up to that. So I can look at that, and as a therapist, I would ask 100,000 different questions and go, oh, that's why you guys got there, okay? And then also on the opposite of that way, you can break down fights of that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't know what fights of that means.
Say we had a huge blowout.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like a 6-month-old baby diaper blowout. We had a huge blowout on Friday, right? There was a little annoyance here on Monday. I chose not to say something. You kind of got your feelings hurt because I didn't do something. You didn't do something. You didn't attune to me when I needed it. And those just build up. And then Friday, something snapped and we like failed basically, right? So we teach couples to really look at those things and break down. It's called the Columbo method. Like we play dumb sometimes. Well, oh, wait a minute. Well, how'd you do that? Knowing full well, it's like, oh, he attuned to her the entire week. That's why they like had sex, you know, for the first time in 6 months or something like that, right? Right. So that's the clinical piece, solution-focused therapy, and how we break it down.
Sometimes you just end. What? That's not a volley back to me. You just ended it. But anyway, I do like that. I think what I gather from what you just said is that a lot of what we're going to talk about and what we talk about in coaching is like we're looking at things like data points because that's what they are. And in the whole spiel that Seth just did, that works really well if we take it and overlay it on the concept of the straight and narrow. And again, think of a land bridge, think of Indiana Jones. What is that? I can never remember which movie it is. I can't remember the titles of the movies where the bridge is invisible.
The Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade. And it's the leap of faith, right? And he has to trust that the bridge is there, but he can't see it. And when he throws the dirt on the bridge, if you haven't seen it, go see it. What are you doing with your life? But he throws the dirt on the
25 years,
bridge.
spoiler alert.
So good. But when he throws the dirt on the bridge, you see how narrow it is. He has no wiggle room. There's no room for him to go to the left or the right. He's got this little tiny path, and it goes to exactly the spot that he needs to go to, right? Which is the other side of the cliff. And if we take what Seth was just saying, this idea of like how we're examining what worked, what doesn't, that examination helps us figure out what actually makes up our straight and narrow path. So for example, let's say, and actually let's kind of rewind a little bit and scooch backwards, go upstream a little bit. In order for us to have a straight and narrow path, we have to know what we're aiming at, right? So let's throw out some of the things that maybe we are aiming at.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because Indiana Jones knew he couldn't see the path in front of him. He's just like, oh, there's a giant hole on the other side of this dark, crazy cavern. That's where I need to go.
That's where
so
I'm going.
he knew that he had to get over there, and then he had to figure it out. And then, of course, once he figured out, the path was straight and narrow. He's like, oh, I can't zigzag to get to that thing over there, right? So what do we want in our marriage?
Yeah. And like, how would we do this? Again, if we were working with clients, we get really, really granular, because the clearer the vision, the clearer the pathway, and the straighter and narrower the pathway becomes. So is there a goal in mind that sticks out for you?
Yeah. We start out with the shared vision, like with clients and for ourselves. And our shared vision is, it's a bunch of different things. Right now, it's constructing our dream home on the property that we own, right? We have a shared vision of that. And in that shared vision, we give room, we give space for stuff that I want. Because there's things in the house that I want that you're like, sure, that's cool, but that's not a make or break for me. Number one, like fireplace, a wood burning fireplace.
I want a fireplace. Don't throw me out under the bus like I don't want one.
Okay, a loft.
I want a loft.
Well, see, that's the cool thing, because we have a really close shared vision.
Yes.
Because we're best friends.
That's right.
That's right. So, okay, bad example because we're so awesome.
No,
we start with the shared vision. And let's just say 30,000 foot shared vision. Me and you want a thriving, Christ-centered marriage that inspires others, that creates safety for us and creates safety for our kids while giving room for individual pursuits that we like. Right?
Yeah. Can I add some in there too?
Yeah.
I know that in our shared vision, we want to have a lot of fun.
Yes.
We want to laugh every day. Like, legitimately, that's part of our shared vision. Like, we have a really good time together, but this is very intentional, and it's part of our goal, our target, our, the thing that we're walking toward is daily, just gratitude every day, really performing at our highest selves every single day, whether that's raising dogs, going to work, hunting. It doesn't matter what the quote unquote highest self is. We know it for ourselves, and we are casting that vision so that we know what to aim for and what our straight and narrow path leads to.
Now, I have to be truthful with listeners. Do we hit that mark every single day?
Not you.
No, seriously. Do we kick everybody's ass in the room every single day at the very top? No, I don't. Right? Maybe you do. I don't know.
No, I don't.
You're an anomaly, right? But enter in...
Oh my goodness.
Things like the Power Couple Planner and things like the planner and the prayer planner and journal that Melanie made. Enter in the men's planner that I have created, which I am redoing right now. Those things help me. It's a black and white path to get to the shared vision, right? If I don't have those things, then sure, I can have the shared vision, and it could be just like a pipe dream, airy fairy up here. But in order to get there, guess what? I have to go upstream, like you were talking about, and go, oh, wait a minute, what's good for your body? Getting up early, getting plenty of rest, working out, drinking water, limiting or zero alcohol, reading, all these things, 75 hard basically,
right?
All these things prime me. That is my narrow path. So it's almost like there's a large narrow path, and then there's several smaller narrow paths. When you get really granular, in that. Does that make sense?
No, I don't get the large narrow path.
So
a wide
the
narrow
large,
path.
nope, like the path of paths, the meta path, right? That is our shared vision and everything that entails. Happy marriage, happy selves, healthy kids.
Yeah, that's like the macro. That's why I say you get granular.
And you get granular. Oh, so a small path that helps me get to the macro path every single time is physical exercise, drinking water, having a routine.
I'm going to put different language to that. So there's the overarching goal, the big vision, big picture is I want to have a happy marriage. If a client tells me I want to have a happy marriage, I say, what does that mean?
Right.
And we're going to like niche down and down until we understand, having a happy marriage on a day-to-day basis. So what are the steps of a happy marriage? So you say, number one, I identify that I want a happy marriage. Well, we have to figure out what is happy to you.
Right.
And now what are the steps every day? And so for us, it's a gratitude practice, right? Having a happy marriage also for us means playing music in the kitchen, laughing with the kids, going on adventures. Like there's very specific and
going
particular
on date
things.
nights.
And so that's what I mean by getting granular. But yeah, like the big picture is I want to have a fun life. Okay, well, what does that mean? Because fun is different to everyone. Like some people love knitting. That's fun. Some people love skydiving. That's fun. Some people love, deep sea fishing. Yes. It's not the same for everybody. So it's not the same for any marriage. No marriages are the same. And so you guys have to create together. Actually, I would say you have to create your individual goals, and then how do those two goals merge together with your spouse, and then you create the narrow pathway that gets you there. Again, you have the big overarching picture, but it's that little narrow path done day by day, step by step, inch by inch, moment by moment that actually gets you to the end result. And this is where I love the idea of like the Indiana Jones bridge, because if you fall, you die. There's not like, oh, well, I fell and I just sort of like landed in some mud and then just got back on. Like there really aren't options on the straight and narrow path that are bad, if that makes sense. And I just said this with a client the other day. I was like,
you mean a bad option, like a lesser, like, oh, well, okay, you didn't hit the mark, but you
think of it like this. Like if I go
close to it, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's think of it I'm going to use a really weird example, but like, let's say there are three paths. And this is something I'm working on actually for this concept. I want to write a book about it, and I want to have like video courses about it, because this lives in my brain nonstop. But there are three paths, and we live in the Pacific Northwest. There's beautiful, beautiful trails out here. Like 1 second from our house, you can be just in the most magnificent thing you've ever seen. One path, think about this, like the paths, some by like exit 38, they're flat, boring. That's a path. I could be on that. Actually, let's think of a bad path. Some paths are bad. They don't lead to anything fun. They're dangerous. They don't go anywhere cool. Just dookie path.
Yeah.
Anyone have come to mind with that one?
Probably on the bike trail up here. If you take because there's some like homeless paths, that I've just like, when I run, I just go exploring and look around, and I've found some weird stuff that's not cool.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's not a good path.
Right.
I don't want to come back here.
That's a really good example, actually. It's a perfect example. So some paths out in the Pacific Northwest lead you to where they're shooting up and there's stuff there that
needle paths.
We don't
piles of crap paths.
Yeah, dookie paths and meth paths. So that's a path that you could walk, right? And they all have the same like origination point. Wherever you are right now, I can choose to go walk to the needle path.
Right.
The middle path is just the boring level, I think, of the graveled paths up by exit 38, where it's like, well, this is nothing. I mean, it's okay, but it's not. It is definitely not one of the most beautiful paths I've ever been on. It doesn't
end in like a giant waterfall.
Yeah. It doesn't. It's like, okay. It's okay. It's really wide, so anyone can walk on it. People who are out of shape can walk. It's flat.
Easy.
Yeah. It's like the most boring path to walk
roll
on.
down this path.
But you can do it, but it is not challenging. It's nothing. And then I think of paths like actually Rattlesnake Ridge, where I took the women's group ladies, and it was vertical climb. And
I've never done that climb.
It's
but I know
super
it's
fun. And when you get to the top, you're just it's breathtaking. You're looking over this huge valley with a massive lake in it. And there's mountains and there's mist and it's green. So one path, the path to the top, is very different than the needle path.
Right.
It's way different from the middle, like boring, whatever, who even cares path, right? It's the path that leads to the best views, the best memories, the most inspirational, inspiring like moment, And so I want to take that.
But guess what?
It's the hardest one.
Exact.
Yep. So I want to take that idea and go, okay, let's overlay that with what our life could be. So what's the needle path in life? That it literally could be addiction, right? We've seen this.
Well, yeah. Or just not paying attention, not making the effort, saying, this is too hard, I'm not going to do it. Taking the path of least resistance, which literally
That's the middle path.
Oh, that's the
middle path. The middle path is least resistance. I'm not going to try.
Oh, okay.
It's flat and graveled, and I could lay and squirm my way on this path. I mean, it's nothing. It takes zero physical fitness, zero preparation. I could bring my Twinkies and walk on it. Right? That's the middle one. But we're talking about needle path, bad path.
Well, if your heart is in the wrong place and you want to go down that path, you know what I'm saying? Or, no, I'm taking that back. As a therapist, then you're going to get into trauma response and addiction and all that stuff. So
I think you're kind of like moralizing it accidentally. So let's put it into perspective. Your needle path would definitely just be alcohol, right? If you didn't look at that path and go, wait a second, alcohol isn't serving me.
Right.
You could easily be like, yeah, needle path, like just Coors Light path.
Well, hello. I have gone down that path before.
I know. That's why I said it.
So have some of my best friends, right? And it's something that we talk about and go, yeah, that's a real thing. But guess what?
Does that path, does the Coors Light path, needle path, end in my marriage is amazing?
No.
I have the best relationship with my kids. I feel so good every morning.
No.
I'm proud of myself. Does needle, Bud Light, Coors Light path end in that's the only two beers I know? Samuel Adams. I knew another one.
Well, I don't drink Bud Light anymore.
I don't even know. That's a joke, I guess? I don't know.
Some people will get that. Anyway, yeah, like we can do that. And maybe in the biblical context, it's like, yeah, okay, you're giving yourself over to sin. Like you're going down that road. That leads to death and destruction.
Yeah,
right?
And I want to say
nothing good.
It leads to death and destruction step by step, choice by choice. It's a path, just like you walk on a trail. It's each step, each choice, each action. But again, you're never going to get to, and my life was great. I felt so good. I'm proud of what I did. I have a great relationship with my kids. If you walk on that path.
Right.
Again, we're not moral. Like there's no judgment on the choices here. We are literally just talking that one set of choices leads to a different outcome. That is a law of nature, right? The law of outcomes. I'm just making something
That's
up.
Probably a thing.
It probably is.
I have no doubt that it's a thing.
Right.
But yes, so I want to be mindful of time here. So
okay, good.
One thing that I do want to point out. So if I was listening to this show maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I'd be like, okay, those people are amazing and handsome and beautiful. But beyond that, I would definitely say, what are they talking about? That stuff's too hard. I don't see myself getting there, right? So I want to break it down to where it is not like get off the path instantly and be like the highest performer ever. It is small steps. And you have to identify, wait a minute, I'm in S-Town here, not the podcast, the actual town. I'm in S-Town. I don't like this. If I ask yourself, if I continue, I was asking my men's group, hey, if you carbon copied, replicated every single thing in 2023, would you want to do it again? Would you be proud of it? Would you like it? There were different varied answers in that. And of course, some of the things, no, I would not want to replicate, right? But some of the things I'd be like, yes, I'm going to do exactly that 100% and try even harder this time because, like, of course, I'm talking about the discipline, the goals, the routine, the cool things that we did, like mostly physically. We're talking about, we did the Tough Mudder and stuff. It's like, yes, I was in the literal best shape ever of my entire life in 2023. I want to replicate that and go above that. But how did we get there? How did I get there? It was small steps, routine steps, over and over. It was mastering the mundane, doing the same thing over and over, and the same thing over and over, having no doubt in my mind that was the right thing. It's like we say it all the time. Like when we, really had to work on our marriage, I knew that praying every day was the right thing, no matter what. It wasn't like, well, should I? Do I feel like it? Nah, maybe that's the right thing. No, it is the right thing. Just like I could tell you, hey, put away $10 into a 401k every single day. Every single day, no matter what. That would be a right thing to do. Hey, always tell the truth. Hey, always help old ladies.
Right.
Hey, always pick up trash. That will never not be the right thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Understand what I'm saying? So do a small step, the right thing, and then stack those. Stack those. That's why 75 Hard is talking to our clients about this. Why simple things like 75 Hard just turn my brain into a super focused machine that does not have to think about it, does not have to overthink about it, and it has immediate results. It only has two choices. Do it or don't do it.
Pass or fail.
Pass or fail.
Every day. Pass or fail every day.
Every single day.
And that's one of the things I want to point out. Sorry, I want to point out about this idea of the straight and narrow path. Once you define it, it takes away your decision fatigue. It takes away, and this sounds really almost silly, but it's like, if you want a happy and healthy marriage, if that's what your goal is, it is never going to line up with your straight and narrow path to do something like start gambling and lying to your spouse about it, or looking at pornography and hiding it. Like, those things don't line up with the value that you stated, and they're like 75 Hard, pass or fail. It's like, you can't hop off the path. You can't go from, imagine if you're trying to go like in a straight line from here to Seattle, but you kept hopping on the freeways that go the other directions. You're not going to get to Seattle. You're just going to keep going back and forth on this. Instead of going forward, you're going sideways, back and forth sideways, which is what we see so many people do. They go to the straight and narrow path for one day. They do something nice for one day, and then they shoot back down to the broad, wide, I think I'll yell at my wife and call her a B word path. And they're never actually getting forward on any of the paths. They're just skipping between them all. For
dudes like me and ladies like me who have maybe a similar thinking, it's like, yes, these ideas are great. So we get all gung-ho and like, yeah, let's do this, let's go. And then you really, shine bright for 2 seconds. And then because you don't have the systems and routines around that, you literally just fizzle out every time. And then when we fail like that, everyone I know, including me, internalizes that. And then it makes it so much more difficult to get back on the narrow path that you're doing, right? So what I'm saying is small steps, routinized. I don't know if that's a word or not.
It is.
Routinized every day. Either you do it or you don't. And one thing that I think I've been doing this for like 2 years now, and you can name a thing that you've been doing for 2 years. You don't even think about it. You just do it, is making the bed, right? Oh, if I'm mad at you, make the bed. If we had sex the night before and we feel so close and it's awesome, make the bed. If the kid barfs on the bed, clean the sheets, make the bed. It doesn't matter, right? And I was thinking this morning when I was in the shower at the gym, I'm like, oh, because I take cold showers, right? Cold exposure and, whatever, health benefits, da-da-da. It's great. I'm like, oh, well, okay, should I do it for a minute or, whatever? I'm like, no. If I'm going to take a cold shower from here to my life, it's going to be 5 minutes. You want to know why?
New listeners to the podcast were like, what? Does he have Tourette's? What just happened?
No, I don't. But, that eliminates any other thought I will ever have. And it also creates discipline. Because if I'd say, if I take a cold shower, it will be 5 minutes. And you know how I know it's 5 minutes? Because I freaking put a timer on my Apple Watch before I get in. Click, 5 minutes, go in there. I do not think about anything else. I just I'll look at it, usually about halfway through. I'm like, oh, okay, got 2 minutes left. Okay. And then you don't do anything else. And so if I ever get in the shower and I forget, okay, I just legit forgot. That's fine. But if I go, I don't want to do it. Oh, man. If I think about it for 1 second, it creates discipline in your mind, in your heart, and your spirit. And you go, wait a minute. No, I take 5 minute cold showers. What am I doing? The Cody Jefferson talks about, and I might get this quote wrong. This is who I am, so this is what I do.
Yeah.
Or this is what I do because it's who I am, or something like that. Yeah. It's like, oh, a cold shower, go. You don't think about it. And if you can routinize other things in your life, which with the Power Couple Planner, you will be able to, with other planners that we're creating, you will be able to. It is like I'm on autopilot. It makes me think of Rob Dyrdek and how he's engineered his life so much. It's like he has maybe one choice every single day.
Yeah.
Because everything else is like, yep, I'll make a call here.
Well,
I'll check
and let
email
me say
here.
what Rob Dyrdek, if you don't know, he's the skateboarder dude who had Robin Big, and he's crazy. But
Fantasy Factory.
yeah. But one of the things that he talks about, and what I want to encourage people to do, is take the time to figure out, number one, what's your vision? You want to have a great, healthy life. You want to have a great, healthy marriage, whatever. But then figure out the most optimized version of every single thing in your day that you talk about or do. So that equals what you eat, what you wear, where you go to get your groceries, how you clean, how you cook, how you talk with your family. I mean, every single thing is...
Yes, and that makes me think of something else that happened at the gym. So I've been going to this particular gym for about a year now, right? I see the same people every single time. We literally almost say the same thing every single morning. Other than the workers there, I'm usually the only one literally working out because it's like at 6 a.m., right? And this morning, I talked to myself. I'm like, yep, opening my locker, opening my gym bag, put the towel here. And it is only something I've done for the last year. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm not thinking about this. I'm just saying what I'm doing. And there was a joy. There was a predictability in that, which I have never experienced before, which is just kind of really interesting. So I'm learning like, oh, you know, the like Dave Ramsey says, the tortoise always wins the race. Every story that he's heard, you know, it's the slow, routinized method that gets you there, not the crazy, frantic this. And and that is who I am. So I'm not saying that you don't have to leave room for fun or spontaneity or anything, but this year has been, at least the latter part of the year has been, oh, wait a minute, routine.
Well, it's discipline equals freedom.
Yes.
It's that concept. And I think I often talk about this idea of dedication over motivation. Like motivational speaker is great, but dedication gets you way farther than motivation ever will. Motivation is feeling like doing it. Dedication is doing it regardless of how you feel. And that's where, when we can define our goals, create our straight and narrow, meaning I do these things. I wake up at this time. I eat this type of food. I don't eat this kind of food. Like, you have to define the things that are on your path and the things that are not on your path, right? So I use this example in coaching as well. Again, going back to that land bridge idea. If I'm standing on that land bridge and there's something it's 1 foot off of the land bridge that I want to reach.
Like on the side?
Like on the side, but it's hanging out over the edge. It's just 1 foot away. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Does it fall in my straight and narrow? Do I need that thing? But it might feel good. It might be good. It might blah. And it's those, to me, are like the little things that can, you know, it's texting someone you used to date, or getting on Facebook and looking, you know, just stuff like that, like sending
the little foxes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The little foxes spoil the vine.
Yeah.
But it's these little things that can sometimes cause the greatest catastrophe and cause you to fall off of that straight and narrow path. But again, it's defining your goal. I want to have a happy, healthy life. Okay, tell me what happy and healthy means to you. Does it mean you can do crunches when you're 50? Does it mean you can swim for an hour like when you're 70? What does healthy mean? Does it mean you are thin and like, not thin, but you know what I mean? Flexible
mobile,
and strong. Like, are you strong? What is your definition of healthy? And then you tell me, and then I go, okay, well, how do we do that every single day? Because that is literally what it takes. And there's no skipping that. There's no way around it. That it's tiny incremental steps in the direction of your goal every single day, right? But again, if you haven't defined your goal, if you haven't defined what is on and off of your path, things will take you off that you didn't think would, because you didn't take 4 seconds to think about it. List 5 things that would take you off of your straight and narrow.
Me?
Bakery Nouveau. Like, just let's throw some out there.
A lot of it has to do with movement, exercise, you know, waking up early.
No, so tell me what would take you off your path. Not waking up early would take you off your path. Not setting an alarm. Hitting
the snooze. I think like 3 months ago, I decided never to hit snooze. And I promise it has made such a difference because you don't even, now I don't have the agony of going, oh
Should I sleep in?
Sleep in is the thing. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it eliminates the other choices that I would have to make, right? So hitting the snooze, drinking beer all the time, right? Eating sweets and carbs and blah, 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 right? Not going to the gym and getting out of the routine of taking cold showers. Like if I started taking hot showers only for a week, it'd be really hard to get back in the groove of cold showers. And it just wouldn't feel nice. Right. It wouldn't feel good.
Right. And I think, again, this can apply to parenting, right? So identify in yourself. As I'm asking Seth, I'm also asking you who are listening, identify in yourself the things that will take you off of your straight and narrow path. So
ignoring date night?
Well, I just said parenting.
Well, yeah, okay, so for marriage, ignoring date night, not spending intentional time with your spouse.
But like with a kid, if I just was like, I thought of you, should I hit the snooze button or not? Like, should I lose my temper?
I thought you were going to say, should I hit the kid?
Should I hit the kid or not? Should I lose my temper and just yell at this kid because I feel like I'm out of control, so why not? Is that on my straight and narrow? Is that something I put as a plot point on the map of my life? If it's not, then don't do it. But first, you've got to identify what lives on that map and what does not. What is on that straight and narrow path? And I can't imagine that if you want a happy, healthy relationship with your kids when they're adults, that hitting them, yelling at them, avoiding talking to them, just ignoring them and being on your phone is something that you would intentionally plot on your map, right? That you would put
when
on your
you write it that way.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. And I think I did a similar exercise with a therapy client recently.
No, I did that with our client. I told them, how many times a week do you want to yell at your wife? Put it on the calendar.
That's right.
That's one of my favorite things to do. I'm so mean.
Well, clinical. Now, that is called the paradoxical intervention. And I think in strategic therapy, right? And I think I've said this example before. A kid had
wet the bed.
Yeah, but it's enuresis or enuresis, I think, or
whatever.
I think it's enuresis. You just pee your pants, right? Or you pee in bedtime. And the therapist said, all right, Johnny's here. Parents, wake him up at 2:30 a.m. Wake him up, shake him, and say, all right, pull your pants down, piss the bed. Stand up, wiener out, pee the bed.
Right.
And they were like, what? No, we're not going to do that. No, you have to do that.
Right.
You have to piss the bed tonight.
Right.
No matter what. Right? Do you think that he did? No. So, do you think that he did the next night?
No.
Do you think that he accidentally did the next night?
I don't know.
No, because they switched it. And when you ask silly questions like that, you go, okay, do you ever want to punch me in the face again? 1 year from now?
Right. Put it on the calendar.
Tonight?
Right.
I don't know. 5:30? Am I getting a shiner?
Right.
No, you would not do that, right? So if you're tempted to do that, you have real problems with that, okay, then the onus is on you, the responsibility is on you. Oh, man, maybe I do need to go to counseling to get some anger management or process some trauma or something like this. Maybe I do need to have a routine because I just can't handle it. My frustration tolerance is so low that if something goes crazy, I do something crazy. Okay. Now you've identified that because you don't want to get to the terminus of that. You know, if you don't take care of all this stuff, frustration tolerance, stress, anxiety, craziness, if you don't take care of that, it ends up there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So now we work backwards and go, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
Hey, 1 year from now, do you want to not have had sex for 6 months? No. No one would think that. Right. No one wants that.
Yeah.
That happens, but nobody wants it. So now reverse engineer. Oh, you don't want that to happen. Okay. Hey, tell me some things that would help you make that not happen. Well, attune to me. Take me on date nights. Right. Make me feel like I'm secure and protected.
Yeah.
And loved.
Again, you're plotting your path. You're making that straight and narrow path by defining what is on it and what is not on it. And if I think again that practice is really, it's one of my favorite practices to do because it highlights how almost ridiculous it is to be like, how does me not thinking about my outcomes end up with Seth having a black eye? It's because I didn't think 4 steps ahead of like, oh, this anger is going to get me there. Now, granted, I also didn't have a history of hitting people, but
right.
But also to say like, hey, I'm like on Wednesday at 4, I'm going to let you know how stupid I think your choices were. Okay. Are you ready? Like, I'll call you at 4 and I'm just going to rip you a new one.
Right.
Like, if you have a pervasive pattern that happens over and over and over again, next time think about scheduling it. and does it fall on that straight and narrow path? How many times a month do you get to tell your partner they're an idiot?
I love that invention. So, like, say if husbands were continuing to forget something, right? So if you have a pattern of that, you would ask the husband, okay, so next Wednesday, like, literally forget to get the mail again for the millionth time, which is really important to you to get the mail or something. Forget to do that. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm not going to do that.
Now you're,
Oh, well, now I'll put a reminder in the phone
Right.
because here's my routine. I come home at XYZ time and I can stop on the mail.
Yeah.
So I love that. The paradoxical intervention, I thought it was awesome. They used it with the couples. So you guys, hopefully this is helpful. We want you to determine what your straight and narrow path is because, trust me, doing right always makes you feel better spiritually, mentally, emotionally.
Doing right is also easy.
When you have the right tools,
the path, and you know.
Right. When you have the vision, when you have the plan, when you have people that are surrounding you that support that, and then when you have the determination to do it yourself, doing right is the way, right? Wide is the gate, narrow is the path. It's easy to be stupid. No, I'm serious. It is easy to get divorced. It's not emotionally easy. It feels like crap. It is easy to yell. It is easy to do stupid stuff. It is easy to press snooze. That is easy. Everyone does it. Don't be like everyone. Don't have a normal marriage. Don't have normal finances. Don't be a normal dad. Don't be a normal mom, a wife, a husband. Don't be normal in that because normal is easy and normal is stupid. Don't be stupid. So you guys, I hope this is helpful. I love the concept that you created, the narrow path. You guys, to help yourselves get on the narrow path, go check out the Power Couple Planner. You can buy it at anatomyofus.com. And we got some cool stuff coming for 2024. I'm super stoked. So
I'm working on a prayer planner plus journal and all of that stuff that we'll have released soon. But again, our whole goal is to make resources that are actually helpful for real couples. So go check it out at anatomyofus.com.
All right, guys. Love you.
All
Later.
right, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.